good evening. Hello to all those that I know, and hello to all those that I don't know. Well, I can't believe how much traction, for want of a better word, that EVs are making in the headlines lately. It seems like really this election, matters of the environment and EVs really may decide the next Prime Minister. So it's amazing that EVs have got so much weight now. Everyone's talking about it. Just a couple of things I've written down. It seems like more and more young people have enrolled this election, and so they're mindful of the environment. And because of that, we don't know which way they're going to go, but it seems like they're going to have much more of an impact than before. Labor have said that 50% of new cars are going to be EVs by 2030, and you know that their government fleet will be 50% EVs by 2025, and there'll be tax deductions for businesses. You know, there's the ones who don't want to buy EVs that are saying you can't make me buy an EV, but really, you know, you look at Norway, they've got 49% EVs already, and they're looking to be 100% EV by 2025. You know, it's inevitable, really. I remember Simon Hackett standing right here a couple of years ago when he talked on his Tesla, and he said, look, it's going to be within 15 years we'll all be driving EVs, you know, so it's inevitable. It's been, we know what's going to happen, but yeah, it's great to see that EVs are the talking point at the moment. It's great. So we're talking about the home battery scheme. There's quite a bit of information tonight. I'm going to go through it as quickly as I can. You're welcome to ask questions. But there'll be time at the end to ask as many questions as you want as well. So it's just a coincidence that I happen. That's the car actually. So Alden, they're a South Australian outfit. I actually know the guy who runs Alden. His name's Mark Haig, and he's a great businessman. And I didn't know this until I saw the press release today. But he's a good man, and he's going to make this work, I'd imagine. So good on South Australia, good on Mark. This is a great story. I get the Driven. I guess most people would get that. It's a news feed just for electric vehicles. I imagine most people here would know about it, but yeah, I'll look at that every day. Okay, just a bit about me, just briefly. When I was an apprentice, I was involved with lots of battery installations, mainly for telecommunication companies and that sort of thing. So my first battery installation was in 1986. I managed to I was delving into, because I knew batteries, I started with solar by about the year 2000 or so, but I actually moved to Tasmania in 2004 for a couple of years, and I worked on all the battery assets in Tasmania. So I had a great job. I had the best job in the world. It was a four-wheel drive adventure for every job that I went to. Well, I did all the high sites, all the repeater stations on every mountain in Tasmania. I got to work in all the hydro power stations, which is, you know, and most of it was built 80 to 100 years ago. Brilliant craftsmanship, workmanship there that happened so many years ago. I got to see just the most amazing places in Tasmania. I worked on every island around Tasmania, changing a lot of what was diesel-run lighthouses and lighthouse keepers' houses, and changed them all over to solar batteries, which just makes sense on so many levels. I worked in so many remote locations in Tasmania. If you've never been to Tasmania, visit it, please. It's an awesome place, and I got to see all of it, which was fantastic. All in remote locations. And you think, you know, Tasmania doesn't get enough sun. How do their solar panels work? Well, I'm talking to an educated crowd. I guess you will know that solar panels work even better in cool conditions until it gets too cold like that. So that system wasn't working today. Okay, so I'm back in Adelaide now. I live at Clarendon. I've got some land up there. I've done my own permaculture design course. I live off-grid. I'm not connected to mains power or mains water. I've designed my property to be based on principles of permaculture, try to grow as much food as I can. So I like to live it. So I've got a wind turbine, a solar bore pump. So I believe in this stuff, you know, and I believe that solar and batteries really has a purpose. for everyone, and I'd love to see it used more. So, okay. You'd really need to get people who specialise in batteries. There's a lot of people who are in the solar game and they're learning batteries, but for you guys, it's important to know that solar, one size might have fit all, but now batteries, one size doesn't really fit all. It's really a matter of determining what's best for you, and that depends on your loads and such like. My work at the moment is a lot of it is big solar and batteries, a lot of outback gear. We do containerised systems, large solar, large batteries, a lot of container work like this. This is one I'm currently working on. SA Water do a lot of remote Aboriginal communities that need water treatment. And so we build the power system and then they bolt on a water treatment system on the end of that. So that's what I love about solar. It has a purpose and it's great. Okay, so the South Australian Home Battery Scheme was launched. Great idea by the South Australian Government, offering some incentives to everyone who would like to buy batteries. This is all on the South Australian Home Battery website. I'll just explain quite a few things about what it is and about what it isn't. Let's have a look. Okay, so I'll just go back. You'll see just at the bottom there that it's talking about kilowatt hours. So in the past, I know most people here know about batteries and we're probably all used to talking in amp hours or different things. Well, when you've got a lithium battery or a flow battery or a lithium battery, lead acid, whatever you've got, how do you talk apples with apples? Well, we've decided that we're going to talk in kilowatt hours. Okay, so it's a unit of energy and just really simply the formula for energy is power times time. So a really straightforward example, a solar system. If anyone's got a 5 kilowatt solar system and they have 4 peak sun hours a day, then you're going to make 20 kilowatt hours of energy. Okay, that's on generation. If we're looking at a kettle, as far as consumption goes, if your kettle uses 2,000 watts and that's on for 30 minutes, then you're using 1 kilowatt hour. And a fridge, if you've got a 100-watt fridge and it cycles on and off, and for that day it's on for about 14 hours of the day, then your fridge is used about 1.4 kilowatt hours a day. Okay, so I'm just trying to get you all to understand what a kilowatt hour of energy is. So when we talk about usable, so the state government pays you on usable kilowatt hours. So they're going to give you a subsidy based on how many kilowatt hours you can use. But a battery system like this, which is similar to mine, we've always talked in, okay, I've got a 48 volt battery system and it's 950 amp hours. Well, we don't talk in amp hours anymore, we talk in kilowatt hours. So I've got to convert that over. So 48 volts times, oops, that should be 950 amp hours, sorry about that, is 45 kilowatt hours. But I can't use all my energy. In a lead acid battery, as you know, you can't use all the energy or else you're going to reduce the life of it. So I can use about 40% of that a day. So it comes down to 18.2 kilowatt hours of usable energy. Now that's about 1.5 tonnes of battery there. When you look at lithium, with the same amount of usable energy, it comes in a different form. The lithium packs come in 48 volt packs already, and you put them in and you parallel them all up. And so if I've got eight 2.5 kilowatt hour batteries, my usable storage is 20. But I can only use 90% of that. So lithium allows you to use almost all of it. Okay, so that's also 18 kilowatt hours. Well, they're about 300 kilograms each. So that's 600 kilograms compared to the lead acid, which was about 1.5 tonnes. So significantly different. When it comes to kilowatt hours in a Tesla, for instance, a lot of them come out with 85 kilowatt hours. Some come with 100 kilowatt hours, but often they're charged to about, they're never charged 100%, is that right? Tesla drivers, yeah, normally you keep them down a bit, about 80% or so. So really, you're only putting about 72 kilowatt hours of energy into that battery. So, okay, what are the requirements of the South Australian Home Battery Scheme? We'll go through a few of them. Your system has to be approved. So there are certain inverters and certain batteries that are approved, and there are some that have not yet made it onto the approved list. Okay, it has to be grid connected. I might just go through a few of those things first. I'd like to tell you the difference between off-grid and on-grid. I believe you probably all know, but let me just go through it quickly. Off-grid systems are remote. They're not connected to the grid. Oh, they're made of solar panels, charge regulators, batteries, inverters, and a generator. I believe you probably all know most about this, but look, there are some battery types, obviously the lead acid that everyone's used to, which has traditionally been used. I've been using those for over 30 years. I know how they operate. They are heavy, but they are reliable. There's another version of the lead acid battery, which is carbon. Carbon introduced into it. In fact, the CSIRO originally had a lot of input into the designing a lead acid battery with carbon. It gives it better longevity. You don't have to have it charged every single day. It can be in a state of partial charge without any degradation. So this is that's a lead acid carbon battery. Obviously, there's the flow batteries. These are the ones at the Conservation Council or the joinery that you've probably all been to. A couple of red flow batteries there. Lithium batteries, lithium iron phosphate. That's probably one of the safest lithium chemistries. BYD is a great example. There are many other examples. The NMC, so lithium, nickel, manganese, cobalt oxide, okay, which is probably more energy dense than the lithium ions. One of the brands is LG. Tesla is also NMC. So they're the sort of things that we're looking at. Now, a lot of the lithium batteries are all approved on the home battery website. I'll just go, obviously Tesla is, sorry again, that's also NMC. Okay, has anyone seen supercapacitors yet? Okay, we've put in a few systems now. They seem too good to be true. They've got apparently 1 million cycles. That's about 40 years, so your grandkids will be, still using these. We've put in a few systems. I'm not convinced entirely about it. They're really good. I have had a few issues. They don't talk to the inverters like the inverters. They're used to talking with something really predictable with like lead acid batteries. These aren't as predictable. They have some flyaway voltages and we're having some issues with them, but realistically, it's a great technology to think that it's not an electrochemical process, it's an electrostatic process. There's no breakdown in energy. There's no sort of energy conversions. It just charges like a capacitor, discharges like a capacitor without any ill effect. It's great. So the inverters that we use for off-grid and on-grid actually is Selectronic. It's an Australian brand. It's probably my favourite brand. I've been using Selectronic for about 20 years. They're a 50-year-old company and they're made in Melbourne. Great team, love the product. Victron is another great brand made in or designed in the Netherlands. And we've got SMA. They're probably the top three. Everyone probably knows SMA because they're a great Grid Connect inverter as well. I'm sure a lot of people would have that brand. Okay, what else is next? Okay, so there's more. What's next? On-grid. Okay, so here are some on-grid systems. So they were off-grid systems. These are some on-grid systems. So Selectronic with lead acid. Here's Selectronic with lead acid again. So these are a few on-grid systems. Selectronic with LG Chem. Solar Edge. Solar Edge is an Israeli company. They are a brilliant company as well, and they work so very well. That combination of Solar Edge and LG Chem is very popular, and you get the full rebate with that. So what we do when we put in a battery system like this, it's got, not only does it cycle every day, but you've got blackout protection. So we will then rewire your switchboard so that in the event of a blackout, you will have circuits here that never go out. Okay, so basically all of your lights, light points and power points will remain on. So that's a great benefit of a battery system. I'll go into a bit more detail on that later on. Okay, other requirements. Okay, it says here it must be VPP ready. You've probably heard the term, it's a virtual power plant. What is a virtual power plant? Let me just go quickly and show you this. If you don't know what it is, the state government would like all these batteries out there because one day they might use your energy if they need it. Okay, so, and if they need it, it's because they need to stabilise the grid. So a virtual power plant is a network of individual batteries that are centrally controlled. Okay, I'm not sure if this is new to anyone here, but AGL in South Australia and also SA Power Networks have started their own virtual power plants. So they're subsidising batteries in different areas. So if you've got a battery and you've got a battery and you've got a battery, then suddenly if they've got 100 people that have got 10 kilowatt hours of storage, then they've got quite a lot of synthetic reserve, they call it. So in the old days, they used to keep a generator running and they used to, it's called dynamic reserve or spinning reserve, that if there was an anomaly in the grid, if there was a fluctuation, if there was if something went wrong in the grid, they could call up a generator straight away. And now they can just call up all these batteries all at once. They just have to flick a switch and then everyone's batteries gets delivered into the grid and stabilises the grid. It's a great idea. But it's your energy as well. It's at your house. Most of the time, it's only a couple of times a year they'll actually use that. So most of the time that battery is all yours and you can cycle it every day. So yeah, it's a great idea. It's a matter of a whole lot of houses all being joined together, centrally controlled. So in this scheme, in the home battery scheme, they don't require you to be on that VPP, but it has to be VPP ready. Okay, so that means every system has to be connected to the internet, and it means that in the future they may call on it. So why would you need another battery? So apart from the blackout protection I said, this is a typical day. So you guys that have got solar now probably know this, that solar works best when you're not at home, and there's a lot of energy. That green is your solar curve. It peaks at 12 o'clock or just after. And so there's a lot of energy being used here at breakfast, and there's a lot of energy being used here when you get home, and that's all being bought from the grid, and you've sold all this energy here. So that's one good reason to get batteries. So when you get a battery, the graph will look more like this. So red is bad, red is what you buy still, but a lot of that solar energy has been shunted into the battery here. So the battery gets low, and then you can see when the solar kicks in and the battery is full all day and starts to discharge. So that's why you're shifting your solar use. So your solar is not being sold exclusively to the grid. You're keeping quite a bit of it in your battery, and then you're using that all through the night. So this fella got all through the night. So this is one I just took today. This is of a customer, one of our customers, and this is what happened yesterday at their house. Okay, so, and that means also that battery is full. Even at the end of that day, or end of that night, sorry, before breakfast, they still had 50% or so of their battery in there, of their battery capacity. If there was a blackout at 8 o'clock in the morning, they've still got their lights and their power that'll still work. Okay. You'll hear a lot when you come to buy a system. You'll hear a lot about AC and DC coupling. To put it really simply, if you've already got a system, if you've already got a solar grid connect system, and the easiest way to put a battery on is called AC coupling. And if you AC couple a system to your existing system, it means that you'll be able to cycle your battery every day. It'll charge up during the day and it will discharge at night, but it won't give you blackout protection. There is one exception to that, and that is the Tesla, but that's only if you buy another device next to it called a gateway. If you were to...
You have to though, Colin. The Tesla doesn't work without the gateway. You have to have the gateway.
Oh, you have to have it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes with it. The gateway comes with it.
All of them?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought...
It doesn't work without the
Oh, did you? Yeah, but that's because you've asked for blackout protection, probably. I'm pretty sure you can buy one without it.
I have an AC solar system,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, okay. You, you need, comes with all of them?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. With DC coupled systems, and they're usually greenfield systems or new systems, then DC, there's less conversion losses, and it means that you can, the solar will keep on working when there's a blackout. So the solar continues to charge the batteries, unlike an AC system. So, okay, lots and lots of brands. Who do you pick? And I'm not going to say, yeah, they're all good. They've all got their advantages. Some are integrators, like this one here. Red Earth just grabs an inverter and grabs a battery. They're sort of agnostic about which brands they put in. They put it in a box, and then you can just hook it up. There's a few like that. You probably recognise quite a few of the brands there. Yeah, so that's it. It's yeah. So that's so. You got any questions on the home battery system? Yeah.
You go back a couple of slides where you have the graph that you took today.
Yeah.
Explain why that red bit's there.
Okay. My best guess is that it's just a little bit slow to react sometimes. So the kettle's turned on, and the battery reacts slower than the grid. The grid's always there. The grid's there as a backup, so the grid is used instantaneously. And sometimes because it's granular, so the information is every sort of 15 to 30 seconds, that might not have actually been quite as red as you'd think. It's just because that's how the graph depicts it. It actually gives a summary of how much energy was used, and it's not that much. But anyway, so that's what it is. It's the grid is always there and kicks in immediately, even though there's plenty of battery there to support that load.
It might be a load supply capability issue.
A load.
It might have more appliances on than the battery can supply as a load.
Oh yeah, perhaps.
Yeah, load demand.
Load demand. Yep.
The welder might have been running, the air conditioner might have kicked in.
Yeah, it looks like it was only like 1.5 kilowatt load though. So, but yeah, but that is yeah, probably what happened.
There's a problem, it seems to be, for those people who got into the early adoption of the solar rebate scheme. We're getting 60.3 cents a kilowatt hour for power. If we add a battery at this stage, we lose that.
You will lose it.
Something like 12 to 15 cents. So where's the incentive for those people?
Well, there isn't. You've already got your incentive.
Yeah. So I guess that's true. You've been able to pay it off. The 60 cents definitely kick-started my industry years and years ago. It was a great thing to have. You're at a disadvantage. You've got to make a decision on return on investment for yourself, whether you think it's worth getting a battery or whether it's not. There are other ways of doing it. There is ways of putting an off-grid system in your house, which doesn't affect.
That's what I've done. But
Yeah.
two systems. I've set
Two
my-
systems,
My
yeah.
original scheme is solely selling to the grid,
Correct.
and the other is the one that runs my
Well,
house.
sounds like it. Who does that here? Is it a few? Okay, so that's more popular than what I thought. I thought I was the only one doing that, but yeah. So it's actually it's quite all right. As long as so legally, you're allowed to do that as long as there's no way of a parallel path. Okay, there cannot be your off-grid system in no way can be paralleled to the grid system. And if that's the case, if they are totally isolated, that's all fair and above board for sure.
Separate switchboards.
Separate switchboards, it has to be separate switchboards. Now, when you've got battery backup, you can put it in the same switchboard. When you've got totally different systems, off-grid and on-grid, two different switchboards. Yeah, that's right.
And there's one question that maybe falls outside the purview of your talk, and that is that with lithium, I've got lithium-ion batteries, the old lithium-ion phosphate.
Yeah.
I've got battery modules on there which do the shunting.
Yeah.
Battery
Monitoring.
utilization.
Yeah.
But I haven't worked out how to make that system switch the inverter off if there's an emergency, as it does with the electric car. Is there a way of doing that?
Okay, an emergency as
I've
in
got Selectronic.
undercharge or overcharge? Because we can do it with Selectronic. We can do it with voltage set points. So do you want to? So when you say an emergency, is that an overcharge or an undercharge?
Well, I don't want the batteries to overcharge, I guess.
Okay, so there are parameters. You can use the digital inputs, and you can have it, if by measuring the digital input, you can actually say if the battery gets up to 56 volts or whatever it is, then you must stop charging. And the same with undercharging. If you can have a parameter with the digital inputs and outputs, that if it was under 46 volts, and then you can tell it to start charging.
How do you physically do that? Where does the wire go?
Okay, so when you pull the cover off of the electronic unit, there's actually some digital inputs and outputs inside, and you have to take a voltage reference up to them. I know how to do it, and I could send you the information, but you'd have to program in the set points, because I don't know the set points for your particular battery. But for undercharging and overcharging parameters, because this electronic normally works on state of charge. Okay, it doesn't usually work on voltage references, but you can override it with some digital inputs, which are already in there.
Yeah, I think it's got those, but I haven't got any connected up to the modules, basically.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we can have a chat about
It's how
that.
the balance that I'm worried about.
Yeah.
Anyway, never mind,
We might let you talk to Edward after.
Yeah, sure.
Question over here?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were saying earlier
Oh, yeah.
that...
Oh, sorry.
That's right.
if you've got a DC inverter and you go into island mode, you can then run the solar system as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So I do this, but my solar is an AC system. I've got Enphase, and
Yeah,
it goes
Enphase.
into island mode, runs the solar panels or the Enphase inverters, see it, and start all within microseconds.
So you're saying in a blackout condition,
Yeah.
they remain on?
They will.
yeah.
It switches over. It goes into full island mode.
And the panels keep on charging?
Charge and discharge a little bit.
I didn't know Enphase.
Because I was charging my electric car during a blackout.
Yeah.
A 3 kilowatt, and it'll dip down a little bit. Then you'll see a bit come from the solar again.
So the solar kicks in.
Well, on mine, on the Tesla anyway,
Yeah.
it just runs as normal.
Oh,
It doesn't kick in and
If you're
out.
hooked up to a Tesla, yes, because the Tesla
Uses the go-
creates a sine wave, which the solar panels look at, and remains on. That's correct.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying, okay, so Enphase have their own batteries, and when you put, not a Tesla battery, so if you have an Enphase microinverter system and you put an Enphase battery with it, they switch off in a blackout. But if you put an Enphase system with a Tesla, it'll remain on. Yeah, correct. That's right.
It's just like a water pressure voltage.
Yeah,
Solar panels are just like water pressure there, and only
but the Enphase microinverters need to see
they need AC.
an AC, and the Tesla provides that AC. It actually turns off the grid behind it, and creates an AC and allows the Enphase microinverters to keep going.
Okay. We've got another question here. Yep.
Yep.
Tesla charge about $1,000 per kilowatt hour of storage. Is that about average? I've got another two questions related. What is the longevity of the typical battery storage battery, and what happens to them after they have become defunct?
Okay, so three questions. So I would say $1,000 a kilowatt hour was about right a couple of years ago. Lithium is down to about $800 a kilowatt hour. Some, the BYD, maybe a little bit cheaper than that. So certainly they've come down a lot in price recently. So most are saying about 10 years, one cycle a day that they're good for. And so, for instance, the LG and the BYD, both similar lithium batteries, and they both say after about 10 years that they've still got about 80% left in them. Okay, so you can either keep them and know that they've got less capacity, or move them on to someone else who would like to buy them. A lot of them are actually used, and they go to, there is a program where they go to Africa. And if they need to be recycled, there is lithium recyclers now. There is one in Victoria, and I believe there's going to be more. And it's almost like, from what I've been to a conference about lithium recycling, and it's almost like they're going to recycle 99% of our batteries. I don't know how, but that's what that was my reaction as well. But apparently there is lithium recycling, and it's front of mind at the moment, because there's going to be that much lithium on the market, or to be recycled in 10 years or less, that people are doing something about it already.
Yeah, the lithium recycling method that you talk about involves a container that goes to France.
Yeah, possibly.
That's what the battery places pay the collection people for.
Right, that wasn't the impression I got from this conference, but look, you might be right. I don't know all the answers to that.
Yeah, okay.
I think we hear about it publicly if we actually had one that turned old lithium batteries into new lithium batteries. That doesn't
Yeah.
happen, I don't
But
think.
there is also a Belgian company that's got lithium recycling lithium battery recycling plants that are freight orientated and it's freight all over the world. So they're actually portable items. So.
Okay, yeah, we'll move on.
Both Tesla and BYD both have recycling programs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll move on there. Michael, you had a question?
Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm the only one, but I'm sure there's others. I've got a AC system only. So in other words, when the sun is shining and the lovely power company in my neighbourhood cut off the power roughly once every 3 weeks for a full day almost, because I live in a regional area.
Okay.
So whenever they're doing maintenance, they just shut me off for 8 hours, They
Wow.
shut me off last Friday. I couldn't work.
Wow.
The shop had to shut down basically for the day. But I've got a 15 kilowatt SMA inverter.
Yeah. 3-phase.
10.4 kilowatts of panels.
Yeah.
It makes, in summer, 145 to 150 kilowatts a day.
A day. Amazing.
It
Yeah.
makes 45 to 50 in winter,
In winter. Yeah.
on a good day. And, I want to swap over to battery, but I don't want to go AC coupled because I want the backup.
Mhm.
Obviously, I'm going to have to just get rid of my SMA, right? Because it's not a sunny island, it's a sunny...
It's a sunny tri-power. Yeah. Okay.
So what am I looking at?
Okay. Hard to answer just right here. Single phase is really easy.
Those are 3 phase.
Yeah, there are some 3-phase options out there. I like the single phase better because they actually give more energy for that phase. 3-phase options split.
Can I run 3 of them because I've got 3-phase equipment. So.
Yeah, you can. So you can actually do that. So you can have 3. The only thing is, what will happen is, at the moment, your batteries will charge and discharge, but in a blackout, your panels will still turn off.
You can
Yeah, that's what I want to eliminate.
You can do it with,
Victron.
but the Victron's only got a 3 kilowatt. The multi-grid.
He needs 3 of them, one on each phase.
Oh, sorry, I should point out I don't yet have the batteries either.
Yeah.
You'll need to get 3 Victrons, single phase, and batteries. But it's a common battery pool. It's not a battery per Victron. It's
Yeah.
a shared battery pool, but the 3 Victron multi-grids or quattros interface with.
Yeah.
And then it'll keep the solar system generating during the day if there's a blackout.
Yeah. Okay. They're not, the quattros aren't 4777 though. So it's you're talking about the one that is the My Grid, or what it is, the Easy Grid.
I don't know whether
Yeah.
they're available on the battery subsidy scheme. I don't know. That's another issue.
They're
That
not
might be a
yet.
question you might need to talk to individuals. Got a question back there? Yep.
Yep.
Just changing the subject
Yep.
slightly, I'm just wondering what the insurance implications, if any, are for home battery.
Okay.
Insurance question.
Insurance, yeah. And here's something I didn't touch on as well. So our industry doesn't have an Australian standard to work to at the moment, which is crazy, especially because the government is asking us to install,
Talk on the mic.
yeah, to install so many batteries at the moment. So we've had a go at writing our own, or having a battery standard written, and a draft came out 2 years ago and it was rejected. So we're still working under some guidelines, some Clean Energy Council guidelines. And because of that, I would say at the moment, okay, how do I answer this? So when there's an Australian standard and something goes wrong, it's a black and white as to, insurance issues. But at the moment, it's actually a bit up in the air. So we're going by guidelines. At the moment, you're not allowed to put a lithium battery in a habitable room. And when so it means you've got to push it out to the garage or the carport. And it probably means also that when the standards come out, it sounds like the standards are going to be pretty harsh, and we may not be able to have it under the envelope of a house at all. It'll most likely be on the outside, and then there's probably going to have to be some sort of fireproofing around the lithium battery as well, within a certain radius, perhaps a 2 metre radius. So there's all sorts. So yeah, insurance. We're going to find out after the first fire, you know, how serious. And I'm sorry to say, there's actually been fires. I know about 3 already, actually. So the insurance companies are going to have to be all over this. You'll have to tell your insurance company that you've got a lithium battery. What about when you have a Tesla? When you drive your Tesla into a garage, do you have to tell your insurance company then you've got a high density bomb? And it's a lot of energy, you know. But you have to, yeah. I mean, it's the same with petrol. We're driving our petrol cars into our garage. It's a lot of energy there. So.
Oh, no, sorry. It's the same. Just with a question back there. Catherine was going to ask a question. Unless it's...
I sell battery. I work for a solar company.
Oh yeah.
And for the three-phase, when it goes out during the day, I'm not charging. If people want that full backup, if your solar's still working, then you need your single-phase inverters.
Correct.
Or SMA or,
Yeah, Solar Edge. Yeah. Yeah, single phase solution is easy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can you spec Tesla batteries up as three-phase? I'm pretty sure you can. They do single-phase or three-phase?
They've got a 3-phase coming out probably next month.
So I was asked what I wanted.
But it will only be able to back up one single-phase circuit in a good outage.
Yeah.
And it won't keep the solar system going. Whereas the Tesla single-phase option will keep a single-phase solar inverter going in a power outage and then be able to supply whatever circuits single-phase circuits are connected to.
Yeah.
Mark, you had a question?
Well, I was just going to say that when it comes to properly manufactured gear, my understanding is that all the components that are in them and the assembly itself gets a UL rating, which is the underwriters.
Yeah.
And that accreditation is then sufficient that as long as it's otherwise configured according to standards, which it would be. I'm a little bit puzzled. You talked about writing your own standard for your batteries. What's that reflecting on?
It's reflecting on Australia. Likes to up the standards, I guess. So that UL rating and the standards are good for Europe and America, but they don't seem to be good enough for here. So we're pretty high on standards, which it does make it hard to keep up, and they keep on changing the standards.
Yep. Terry, you got a question? Yep.
Is anyone know a question as to why we can't get a $6,000 rebate on an electric car, use the car battery for the house?
Good point. I haven't got an answer for that one, but yeah.
I'm just trying to get it out there.
Yeah, look, I agree. And do you know what? The government, well, there will be incentives. Australians need incentives to buy things, it seems. So there will ultimately be incentives, whether it's tax deductions or whatever, to buy EVs in the future. It will happen, but not under this scheme, no. But I see your point, because you could actually use it as a battery.
Well, the reason behind what they're doing is stabilise the grid.
Yeah.
It can be used wherever your car is.
Correct.
You can use it at work, at home, at the shops.
You need the smarts with it as well, so it needs to be connected. It's what you're saying is right as an energy storage device, but the smarts that need to go with it would need to travel with it as well, and that might be.
How hard can that be? Anyway.
Yeah.
Just on that incentive, the $6,000,
Yep.
and you were saying that at some point they would ask for some of your power back just to help stabilise the grid.
Correct.
Is there any idea or time frame when that might be? And I've been waiting for someone to say, we just gave you $6,000,
Yeah.
we want whatever amount of power, but
No,
no said anything.
No, it's if you got it under one of the discount schemes out there with AGL or SAPN, then.
No, just went through the state government.
Oh, okay. So they're not asking for anything yet.
No, not yet.
No, they're not. So at this stage, we don't know. It just has to be ready to do that.
Yeah.
So if you are part of the SAPN or the AGL, they are actually using your energy now, but only a few times of the year, to be honest, just when the grid needs it.
Michael, you got another comment?
Well, I've got the answer to that.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
Let's have it.
Well, I don't know if you use Facebook, but it pops up all the time online. I don't know if you must be listening to the crap I talk about. But my energy provider, Simply Energy, is offering $5,100 of credit, and it's applied to, first of all, you wouldn't qualify because did you buy yours after 1st of January this year, your system?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so that's the first tripwire. So anybody that's got a system of battery and solar prior to that doesn't qualify. Then they'll pay you $3.49, as I understand it, you checked it, per day that you're connected in compliance and with electricity, well, not so much electricity available, but the system available for them to control, right? Ostensibly, the way that it speaks in the terms and conditions is that the retailer controls it.
Okay. Well, maybe you could catch up together and sort that out.
Oh, I think it's for wider
yeah.
consumption because it's the question that was.
Okay, yeah, that's, that's fine. Just right. Yeah, sorry, question there? Yeah.
I'm here to learn something, so
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with a lot of the terms.
Talk a bit. Yep.
Yep.
So, when you were talking about that sort of system, I understand that's a rebate that comes from Arena, and it's over 48 months. Is that system, is
No,
Arena
the
still
South
going to be
Australian
around?
rebate I'm talking about, the battery rebate.
Yeah.
The one that you were talking about,
Yeah,
yeah,
this is
50,
one,
That's 5 years.
5,100, 5 years, I was told 4 years, and I'm just wondering whether it was still going to be available in 2 years' time. Will it be around in 4 years?
Go to the Simply Energy website, check it out there, it's all in the terms and conditions. I wrote it all out myself the other day to see if you were getting ripped off or not. But they're asking for about 40% of your battery that they can take. They tell you how many kilowatts they're going to take a week or a month, over how many years, and what they're going to pay you when they take it. Because what they take, you're paying for that. You've paid for that to go into the battery, then they take it for free. So you're losing.
but they're paying you $3.50 a day.
Only the day they use it.
Okay.
Okay, other questions? Maybe over here? Yep.
I went into the Canica system 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Solar Shop is defunct.
Mhm.
Now the Canica are not giving me 100% anymore, maybe 80%.
Yeah.
I signed up for 2 kilowatts. Is it legal to add others now to get up to 2 kilowatts? Or am I stuck with the non-functional or less functional panels for the 20 years?
If you want to keep your feed-in tariff, then you're stuck with it. If you're willing to forfeit your feed-in tariff, you can go under the conditions now, which is you can get another 5 kilowatts. So you can pull off what's there and start again. But then you'll have, and then you got the option to go under this scheme as well. So you could pull off what's there, put new panels up, get the battery, get all the rebates again, the solar rebate and the battery rebate, and then you've got a battery system as well. But yeah, you are going to lose your feed-in tariff. But I imagine, sometimes of the year you're not probably feeding in too much. Yeah, so whether you have the feed-in tariff or not, it probably doesn't matter too much.
So I cannot add panels
To make
bring it
up
to 2 kilowatts?
No, because SAPN don't think like that. It's about your inverter now. So if you've got a 2 kilowatt inverter and you add more panels, then they're going to say that you're going to lose your feed-in tariff.
Oh, excuse me.
Yep.
You can go like capacity, and if you can't get the direct replacement, as long as the panels fit inside that 2 kilowatt window, there's not a problem reading the legislation.
If you've got 2 kilowatts of Canicas, and you say that that 2 kilowatts is only 1.6 now, you can't add another 400 watts of panels to that.
No, you can replace them with another 2
Yeah,
kilowatts.
that's right.
Oh, okay.
To bring it up.
Because I know of cases where panels have failed and they've just taken
Yeah.
off new ones,
You
put
want
on.
to come back up to 2 kilowatts.
Oh, is that what you were saying? I thought you were trying to make up the difference. You're happy to pull that off and put another 2 kilowatts on. Okay.
Yep. Go on, thanks.
Yeah.
Question here, yep. Go, yep.
I'm in the market for a new solar panel and battery system.
Yeah.
And just recently I've had a few quotes.
Mhm.
It seems to me that there seems to be some reluctancy in these people installing Tesla battery systems. And they tend to use the excuse it'll be on a waiting list for 6 months or whatever. I mean, I don't particularly care how long I have to wait for it, but it Is that what's really going on out there?
Yeah, so there's two things. Yeah, it's a long wait for.
No, it's not. It's 4 weeks. I
No,
got
no.
one put in 4 weeks.
Yeah, but who'd you go through? That was through a scheme, though, wasn't it?
It was through the South Australian Battery Rebate Scheme.
Oh, okay.
And one of their appointed installers, which was the Solar Man, which was
Yeah.
local fella up on the hills.
Paul, yeah. So Paul is a direct distributor. So it all depends on whether you've got a retail license for them as well. So and there's not many of them in South Australia. So there's a few people that can sell Teslas, and there's some that can't. So you can sell Teslas.
We sell Teslas.
Yeah.
We're also installing Teslas for the SA housing scheme, the VPPs. We sell a lot.
Through Enovan.
And what happens is they say, you allow 4 months.
Yeah.
So you might have to wait, but it just depends when Tesla drop them in. They just drop pallet load in every now and then.
Mm.
You might get lucky and get it in 2 weeks. You might get it in 4 weeks. So it's unpredictable.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's months.
There were,
6 months.
yeah, there were literally long waits because of things that happen in the other side of the world sometimes. Like if there's I know there was a hurricane in wherever, Haiti or something, and then a lot of those Tesla units went there instead of being distributed around the world. So forward allocations is really important for people who deal with Tesla. They have to be betting that they're going to have sales in 4 or 6 months' time. So a lot of forward ordering there.
Also heard that they were using the batteries for the Model 3s to get them out.
That's exactly correct.
Yeah.
As opposed to the
Yeah.
home system.
Yep. Edward, you had something? You had a question?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm missing some of this because I'm half deaf, but are we talking about availability of the Teslas or the solar panels?
No, the Tesla home Powerwall.
Powerwalls.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. I was saying,
Yeah.
panels are easy to get.
Yeah.
Have you got any other general questions? Might try to roll up. Yep.
This one.
Yep.
Colin, what's your thoughts on like they do in the eastern states, the solar excess sharing programs that are available?
A peer-to-peer trading type of thing where you can sell your energy to me.
Is it a good thing?
I think it keeps the network operators in a job, or else everyone's going to go off grid. Yeah, so I think in one way they should encourage that sort of transaction. So if you've got excess energy and someone over there can't put solar on for whatever reason, and they want to buy your energy, I think they should facilitate that. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I do too. I think it will reduce
Yeah, it's
retail costs.
yeah, and it's a community thing as well. It's all about it's a permaculture principle. If I've got a lot of apples, I share them around. If you've got lots of energy, share it around. It's a very community-minded thing to do.
About the tax order, how do they get that?
Oh, they're going to clip the ticket. There's no doubt. On the way through, from my house to your house, someone's going to clip the ticket.
Right. Okay, we might just wind it up there. Thanks,
Yeah.
Colin.
Okay, thank
you
you.
very much.
Excellent.